Would you like to learn how to make healthy and delicious chicken nuggets at home?
Well, today on WTF, we're going to show you chicken nuggets 3 ways when we do a classic, a keto, and a gluten-free. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. Here on WTF, every week we talk about unique ingredients and techniques and show you new recipes for your kitchen. So stick around for our weekly giveaway and remember to subscribe. Now this week we are going to show you how to make chicken nuggets 3 different ways: a classic McDonald style, a keto, and a gluten-free version. And this is kind of an exciting recipe because, you know, Scott and I, we both have kids. Kids love chicken nuggets, but you want to give them something that's healthier, freshly made. You know what's going into it, and generally it's going to taste a lot better, right? So we wanted to give you different options to make these nuggets. I think, Scott, let's talk about how do you make a nugget to begin with?
Sure, so it's just, people like to think that it's a cut of chicken or a slice of chicken breast, but generally it's not. It's usually a force meat, which a lot of people have been asking, is a puree of meat or a ground meat, something like that. But whenever you do that, you run the risk of getting a really dry, especially if you're trying to do something like chicken breast. So we have an ingredient that's going to help us retain all that moisture, emulsify in any fat, and retain the shape better. Yeah,
and we were just talking before the cameras came on about how, you know, like we all kind of buy from the grocery store because it's easy and it's fast. So, and I think that's always one of my concerns with trying to make it from scratch. How easy is it to make this recipe?
Well, I can have the chicken done and ready in under a minute.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of the best part, is you can do this, have the chicken ready to go to be breaded and then popped into the freezer. You know, pretty much in an hour it can be in the freezer and you're back to doing whatever you want to do.
Wow.
So that's really nice, and then you can have, you know it's chicken breast. You know that there's salt, and then you know there's that one extra ingredient that we're adding, which is sodium tripolyphosphate. And that's pretty much it. And if you wanted to doctor them up and fancy them up, you can do that on your own, but the recipe's going to work any way you do it. So.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to doing the filling and seeing that under 1 minute magic happening.
Yeah, so I have here chicken thighs. These are made with chicken breasts, so you can see, you can do them with either one. I've just kind of rough chopped them up. They're only basically in half. I keep all the skin on there.
I was just noting that, so no skin off.
Yeah, I keep the skin off.
Why do we keep the skin in?
Because juiciness, we equate it with like water, but it's actually fat. Juiciness is like the fat that's in there. If you wanted to make these closer to fat-free or low-fat, you can just keep the skin out, but I want them to have that, big punch of flavor and juiciness whenever you bite into them, so that the kids will then eat them. So I'm just going to blend this up really quickly.
I don't think having fat in your food is a bad thing.
No, it's not, especially if we're doing keto like we're doing later. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to get these blended up. I never want to overload my my food processor, and then I'm going to add in the other ingredients and the rest of the chicken. So I'm just going to pulse this for about 15 seconds. All right, so I have that broken down. I'm going to add in the rest of my chicken. Sometimes I find if I add in all of the meat, it just gets a little gunked up and stuck. So I do half at the start. I add in some salt here. So our recipe is weighed out to be about 1% salt. That's something that we like to do. You can do whatever you want. If you find that this is too salty or you want low sodium, you could absolutely do that. And then we have sodium tripolyphosphate. Now this is an ingredient that is key to making this work and last. So sodium tripolyphosphate will take the fat, it will take the meat, it will emulsify them very quickly. And it will also help the meat retain more moisture and fat. So it's an amazing ingredient, and that's what's going to make the emulsion here work. So
awesome.
In about another 30 seconds, so about 45 seconds total, I'm going to make sure that's all blended up, and then it'll be completely emulsified, and we'll show you what it looks like at the end.
Great.
I got to lock it on. Great. So now that we've emulsified it, there's one thing we can look for, is that when I pick it up, it has almost this kind of creamy look to it. And that's an emulsion. Just like vegetable oil and water are both clear liquids. When we emulsify them together, they have that opaque kind of look. This is the same thing that's happening here. You have the fat, you have the meat, and when they come together and they look like this, they're perfectly emulsified.
Okay.
So I take that, I can spread it out onto a sheet pan on baking paper or nonstick mat. Gauge the thickness to whatever you like your nuggets at, and then I freeze them and punch them out.
Okay.
If I try to punch them out before I freeze them, they just kind of go back together. So I make sure to freeze them, and then when they're semi-frozen, I punch them out, and I can have all this. So like we did dino shapes, you can do circles, and whatever, the rest that's around, I just chop it up randomly and make like little popcorn chicken, so you don't waste anything.
Yeah, well, that looks great. We're going to take a break. We're going to reset our table, and when we're back, we will show you the 3 different types of breading and how easy it is to fry them up and then, of course, eat them. We'll be right back.
So just like that, we have a table full of ingredients, and we're going to make 3 different batters,
okay.
A keto, a gluten-free, and a classic. And this is where we're really going to see how similar and how different these things actually are.
Okay, let's start with the classic kind of McDonald style breading. What are we doing there?
So we have AP flour, just regular bread flour, or regular flour that you use for everyday things. And then I have some batter bind S. So batter bind is an ingredient that's going to help me keep the batter on the outside of the nugget itself. That's really important, especially when we're thinking about like that McDonald's style nugget. It's like there's no air gap in between them. It's right on the, stuck to the chicken, and it's nice. It's a good quality of life thing. Then we have some cornstarch, which is going to help us with that crispiness.
Okay.
That really nice crispy texture. This back. Right here we have a little bit of sugar. So the sugar is just going to help with the browning. Right?
Okay.
Baking soda. So baking soda is going to give us a little bit of lift in the batter before we fry it.
Okay.
So it has like that airy kind of crinkly texture. And then a little bit of salt. And it's really that simple. So now I have soda water here, and I have to add about 300 grams of soda water.
Okay, and and as always, you can find all the measurements for these recipes in the links in the description below.
Yep. So I'm going to pour some in, and then just gently mix it. All right, so that's the classic batter. And to make the gluten-free batter, it's very similar. It's basically the same ingredients, just interchanged with things that are going to make it gluten-free. So we have I'm Free Perfect Baking Flour, and then we have cornstarch, and we have Expandex. And all of these ingredients are going to help with that texture on the outside of the nugget. These come out extremely, almost crunchy.
Okay.
We really like the way they come out. And then we have this ingredient here, which is I'm Free Perfect Gluten Replacement. And that's going to give the almost body of what the gluten does in this recipe. So it's going to help kind of bind it around the outside of the nugget. It gives it a little bit more viscosity. We have our baking soda, our salt, and our sugar. So very similar ingredients. We just replace the flour with things that are going to help simulate that flour. Mix it up just as we did the other.
All right, and more soda water in here as well?
Yep, soda water for this. That's all we need. The only difference between all 3 of these recipes is there won't be soda water in the keto. So basically get this, we'll mix it up, and then you'll see what it looks like when it's done. So that's the gluten-free batter, and now into the keto, and this is where things get a little crazy. So we're going to start with pork rinds. It's our favorite kind of keto flour replacement.
Sure.
So it looks like quite a bit, but remember, they're full of air. They're puffed up. So we want to get these into our blender. We're going to blend them up, break them down almost into a coarse flour. So this is going to help give us that texture on the outside. And then for crispiness, cheese. So mozzarella cheese is a great way to get crispiness. So if you think about, mozzarella cheese that's baked onto a side of a pan, like on a pizza, that crispy texture, that's where it comes from.
All right.
We also have our I'm Free Perfect Gluten Replacement, the same that we had for the gluten-free batter. And the reason why is it gives that kind of viscosity. It helps hold it onto the outside of the nugget.
Okay.
We have some salt, and then we have our egg white powder. And egg white powder's there to, one, absorb some of that water, but it's also a protein, so when it cooks, it will solidify on the outside. So it's tough to make this work the way we want it to work, but we found a way to make a really great golden brown nugget that tastes delicious. I mean, everything in here is wonderful. So we're going to break this down almost into a flour. All right. So now that this is kind of in a floury state, we can add our water, and we don't really need to add any soda water to this. There's no baking soda in this ingredient.
I noticed that.
For a few reasons. We don't need any extra aeration on the outside. We have plenty of things in here like the eggs that are going to kind of souffle when we cook them, right? So they'll puff up and make air, as well as the pork rinds will always kind of have some sort of texture in them. They have a little bit of air trapped in them, and we found that the batter kind of blew off if we added any baking soda or baking powder or anything like that. So I'm just going to add in water. We don't need any extra aeration, like I said. So just regular water, and then I'm just going to blend this up until it's a thick paste. This one is going to be much thicker than these two.
Okay.
This one is thicker because we wanted the nugget to go in and come out with a slightly thicker coating, because it will fry down. It will lose a lot of moisture and kind of fry down into a crispy texture. And over time, as we mix it, the I'm Free Perfect Gluten Replacement will absorb water really well. So I find that if I let this sit for a day, I have to add just a little bit more water.
Okay. Yeah, I can see how thick it is right now.
Yeah. Good. So it's pretty thick, but I want to be able to kind of coat the outside of those nuggets, right? So when doing that, I want to make sure that these nuggets get a nice crispy coating on the outside, and if it's too thin, it'll run off. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit different, but it will make for a great nugget in the long run.
Well, we can't wait to taste them, so we're going to take another moment, reset the table, fry these up, and then show you the finished results. Okay, and we're back, and we can't wait to taste test these nuggets. But first, I wanted to talk about this week's giveaway. So this week's giveaway is going to be the ingredients you need to make any one of these recipes. And in order to enter to win, just leave in the comments below something else you like to see us do 3-way. So this is our second of the 3-ways episode. We did brownies a couple weeks ago, and that was fantastic, and we love doing that. So we kind of want to keep going with it. So leave in the comments below something that you would like to see. All right, and I know that's going to take a little bit for these to fry, Scott. And we are sharing the same pot of oil, for demo purposes only, before anyone leaves in the comments below that, why are you sharing the same pot of oil? It is what it is. So, but I think one thing we were also talking about is, like prepping ahead for, meal prep, especially when you have kids. Even if you don't have kids, meal prep is fantastic.
Yes.
How can people make these ahead of time so that when they have that weeknight dinner, they can just pull it out and cook it up?
Sure. So you can make the batter ahead of time, but I would not suggest making the batter, putting them on the nuggets, and trying to freeze them. Right? Gravity will do its work, and it'll pull the batter down. You can make the nuggets like we have them here. We just freeze them like that, pull them out on the sheet pan, put them into a bag, and have them ready to go. Okay. You can even pull them out, dust them in whatever flour. So we use actually cornstarch for the gluten-free. We use batter bind for the classic, and we use egg white powder for the keto. So whatever it is you're gonna dust them, put them into a bag, And then when you're ready to go, you can just put them into your batter and then pop them in the oil. The batter lasts a week and the nuggets will last a month in the freezer.
Okay, so you don't need to thaw the nuggets before frying?
Nope, these are all fried from frozen here, so
Okay.
so they're good to go. It really is just like that. If you wanted to, you know, try to put them into your air fryer, we wouldn't suggest using any of these though,
Okay.
because batter doesn't necessarily work well in an air fryer. It'll do the same thing. It'll leak off before it sets. That's why a deep fryer works the best.
Okay, well, definitely give these recipes a go. So, as we're frying them, and I know, you know, we have a couple of them cooked up here. Do you want to talk about them? Which ones are we? Am
Sure.
I eating those?
You
the
probably
hot out
eat
of
one
the fryer
of those.
ones? Okay.
I wouldn't eat the ones straight out of the fryer. Give them a little bit.
All
So
right.
we have here as our classic. You can see it very uniform on the outside.
Okay.
Then we have the gluten-free is super crispy, almost crunchy on the outside. And then the keto, when fried properly, has that really dark, rich color and extremely flavorful. And it'll have some crispiness from the cheese and everything that we placed in there.
Yeah, this is definitely, I call it a much better version of a McDonald's nugget.
You want to show the inside to see how that batter binder worked?
Yeah,
Batter
so-
bind worked?
So you can see kind of, you know, no air pockets, none of this batter fell off during
Yep.
frying. It's great. Oh, and we totally forgot about the dipping sauces.
Oh, there's tons of dipping sauces.
What do we have here?
So we have kind of a play on the classic sweet and sour sauce.
Okay.
The recipe will be in the links in the description below.
Which one's which?
Which is that's all the way to the right.
Sweet and
And then
sour?
we have a barbecue,
Okay.
a sweet chili sauce, and then kind of a little Szechuan sauce. Don't have recipes for those other than the barbecue, but those are
good.
things for down the line. So we have our keto nugget that's coming out now. You can definitely see just the golden brown color, very even.
Yeah.
And then the last one is going to be our gluten-free, which you can just see how crispy and kind of crackly the outside gets. It's
Yep.
really wonderful.
All right, now I'm going to give the gluten-free a go in the barbecue sauce.
And you can hear that crunch.
It's so crispy. It's definitely the crispiest, I think, of all of them.
Yeah, when we were testing it, we were like, oh wow, this is like super crispy.
Yeah,
It makes a great nugget.
I really like this. I mean, like, they're all good, but I really like this one too. And I like how the inside it's very juicy. It's got that bouncy nugget texture, not dry at all, but just also, you know, really fresh, really
Yep.
tasty. It is so crunchy. All right.
Yeah, it is super crunchy. And then if you wanted to, I can give you the keto here in a second.
Okay.
You can try the nugget if you want, or you can have the Brontosaurus.
I'm going to take the
Right.
Brontosaurus so it does not burn my hand.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
This is the what is
sweet
this?
chili
Sweet
sauce.
chili sauce.
Not hot, just sweet chili sauce.
It's really good too.
Great, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, all these are wonderful. I definitely they could pass the kid test for sure.
I
You know?
agree. I also think that these are good for everybody. Like, I don't think you need to be on a gluten-free diet or a keto diet to enjoy these nuggets. Like, I would eat any of these all
Yeah,
day.
these are all good nuggets. That's all that matters.
All right. Last time I did this, I got nothing but spicy.
Yeah, mix it up a little
Nothing
bit
but
because there's
spicy
chili oil
oil.
sitting on top there. Mm-hmm. That's like soy, ginger, lemongrass, garlic, chili oil, sesame.
Yeah, these are all great. I mean, I would eat these all day.
Me too. And I
Oh.
probably will.
Okay.
Wrapping it up.
So that about wraps it. I did get some of that chili oil. So that about wraps it up from the test kitchen. Remember, you can get the links in the description below. It's going to have the recipes, and let us know what else you would like to see us do 3 ways. So until next week, from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Guerin.